starved yet. They trust that Krishna is going to meet all of your needs. He's going to meet your needs for food, for shelter, for friendship, for meaning, for peace, for freedom. All our physiological needs, all our psychological needs, everything. He may not meet them in a way that we think he should. It may not always be, in the way that we think. But he'll probably do a better job. And if his way of meeting our needs involves going through something that we think is painful or difficult, then it's a question of trust. We say, I don't understand this. We try it, we can try to understand it. If we can't understand, we say, well, I don't understand this, but I accept. And not only I accept, but I have more love for you. I'll increase my love for you. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust that you really care about me. More than millions and millions and millions of mothers or doctors or governments could ever care about us. And Krishna is so happy when we take that mood. That's love. Love isn't just, I love you when you do everything that makes sense to me and that I can understand in just the way I want. Love is, I love you when I trust you when it doesn't make sense to me. And therefore, Sadhya Bhak. If one can just do that, that's it. That's all. No need to do that. So I'm sure that we'll all get some opportunity to practice this. You don't have to worry. Whenever there's a lesson, a good teacher always gives you opportunities to practice. So I'm sure that Krishna will give us plenty of opportunities to practice. Where there'll be suffering in our life that we don't understand. And if we can then think about Mother Yasoda, and that's easy to think about since we have this painting here at the temple. I see it every day. Think about Mother Yasoda who said, I don't understand, and I just surrender. So I've gone now 1 minute over. According to that clock, 2 minutes over. So thank you very much. All advice is short. Do you want me to take questions? Okay, it's up to you. But you gotta tell me when to start. Yes.
What's the difference between surrendering to events, because they come and you cannot control them, and surrendering to Krishna, where we actually resist events, but still we keep surrender to Krishna? So, because sometimes people might say, just surrender means surrender to whatever comes upon you, but we want to resist it.
I think I understand your question. Let me see if I understand your question. So if things come upon us, if events happen to us that we feel are not favorable for us or for our service, do we accept them or do we resist them?
Yeah.
Okay. And does surrender to Krishna mean that we never resist them? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we look at the example of the great devotees, we see that they do make efforts. Mother Yasoda was making some effort also. She did make an effort to try to understand. This verse there's a verse in between this verse and her having this experience. And that verse in between is she was making an effort to understand. And we see that Srila Prabhupada, when he started the center in Jhansi, and the governor's wife wanted to close it, he made an effort. He didn't immediately just say, okay. He made an effort. When he bought the land in Juhu, and Mr. Nair was found to be a cheater, Prabhupada made an effort. Now in the case of Jhansi, at a certain point he gave up. In the case of Juhu, he never gave up. So let's look at those two. With Jhansi, he made an effort, and then he saw that because it was the governor's wife who was opposing him, there was no higher court. It was going to be useless. So he stopped. With Juhu, the law was on his side. So he continued. So my own analysis from this is, when you have some event, some circumstance that seems unfavorable, the first question is, do you have the ability to counteract it? Do you have the ability to resist it? Is that even within your ability? Is it within your means? You know, if there's a hurricane, can you resist it? No. Some things you can't resist. Prahlad Maharaj, he's being tortured by his father. Was there any means of resistance? Was there any means of resistance? No. His father was the head of the head of the head of the head of the head. Even Prahlad's guru, Narada, was externally offering obeisances to Hiranyakashipu. He was the chief of police. Where are you going to go? Complain to social services? My father's abusing me? I mean, where was he going to go? He had no place to go. So he didn't have any means to resist him. He's just 5 years old. What's he going to do? Beat up the demons who are trying to torture him? I mean, what's he going to do? He didn't have any means. Haridas Thakur, when he's said you're going to be beaten in 22 marketplaces. Again, that was the government doing that. You can't go to the government and complain about something the government themselves is doing. It was the police force themselves who were beating him. You can't go to the police. And these guys have weapons. He has no means of resistance at his disposal. So first thing is, do you have a means of resistance at your disposal? You know, if you get some disease, is there a cure? Some diseases are not curable. Now, if you have a means of resistance, is that means of resistance something that should be used? Just like Ashwatthama threw a Brahmastra and Arjuna also threw a Brahmastra. They said, no, this Brahmastra should not be used. Withdraw both of them. Sometimes the means of resistance is worse than the problem.